Hey guys, Forex here, hope you're all well. What you're looking at in front of you is a faulty ZX Spectrum Plus 2. Now I picked this up from eBay. I got it relatively cheap, and the reason I got it relatively cheap was because the seller mentioned there was a number of faults with this Spectrum Plus 2. Now the first fault he mentioned was some of the keys don't work. And the second fault he mentioned was when he tried to load a game from tape, it wouldn't load. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook up power, I'm going to tune this Spectrum into my TV, and we'll verify those faults. Okay, before I hook up this Spectrum to my TV, I just want to go over what model this is. This is a model Plus 2B. You can tell that because A, it's in a black case. Secondly, if I turn over the Spectrum, it's marked Plus 2B on the back, and if we look at the power input, it has the DIN input instead of the 9-volt barrel power input. Now what I'm going to have to do to this Spectrum is I'm gonna have to give it a really good clean because it absolutely stinks. It doesn't smell of smoke or anything like that. It's more of a, I can explain it, it's like a fusty type of smell. It's like it's been in someone's loft for a really long time, and you can see if you look in between the keys there's all dust and everything, and it really does pong a little bit. So I'm gonna have to strip this completely down and give it a really good clean. But first, like I mentioned, I want to verify those faults. So give me 5 minutes to set up and I'll crack on with that. Okay, I'm all tuned in. I've just powered it off so I can switch it on and show you it boot. So yeah, Amstrad didn't put a power button on the actual Spectrum, so you have to turn it on at the plug. As you can see, it's come on, and we are in the menu. Now forgive the picture guys because it's RF at the moment. I don't have a SCART lead for the Plus 2B model, I only have one for the Plus 2 grey model. So first things first is I verified some of the keys work. You can see I'm doing up and down. One big problem though is the enter key is not working, so that's a massive problem. Now luckily on the Spectrum, in this menu you can use another key to activate a command. So if you press the edit button, and I'll show you there, look, if I go into the loader, see I got into the loader by pressing the edit button. Now thankfully the brake button works again, so I can come back out again. But what I want to do now is go into basic, because I want to find out just what buttons are working. So 1's not working, 2 works, 3 works, 4 works, 5 works, 6 works, 7 works, 8 works, 9 works, 0's not working, brake key works, delete key works, and so yeah, I'm not going to go through all of them guys. You know, some of the keys aren't working, some of them are working, some of the keys aren't working. Now that's probably down to the keyboard membrane being bad, so I'll have to take a look at that. Now what I want to do is, just give me a second because I'm going to have to power off and power back on to test the tape deck. Sorry about that, I had to power cycle the system because I couldn't get out the menu because the button to get out of the menu is not working, so I had to power cycle it. And as you can see, we're back in the main menu. So what I want to do now is again press the edit button on the tape loader, and I have a game in a tape deck. So let's press play and see if it will load. Now this tape has a rather long lead in, so yeah, we're gonna have to wait a little bit. So what I might do is just fast forward it until we get to the load. Okay, Now we got the tone. No, I don't think so. Yeah, that's not right. No, that's failed. Yeah. So that's another thing we've got to look at. Let me just stop that because it's making too much noise. What I'm going to do now is just get another tape and try another tape. Even though I know that tape works, I'm just going to get another tape and just double verify. So okay, I have a second tape in a tape deck. Let's press the edit key, get into the loader routine, press play on the tape. Now what I'll do is I'll fast forward it again because this tape's got a long lead in as well. Okay, we've got tone. No, that don't look right. No. Yeah, that's failed as well. So it looks like a failed tape deck. That could be a number of things. That could be belt, azimuth, just needs a good clean. Tape head needs cleaning. So yeah, I'll have to sort that out. But first things first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to strip down this, completely strip it down, remove all the keys, get it soaked, get it clean because it absolutely stinks. And then while that's doing that, I can look at the board, look at the membrane and see if I can sort out the tape deck. So yeah, that's what's coming next. Okay, let's get into this thing. Now if I turn it over, there should be 6 screws. One here, one there, one there, and one there, and one there. So what I'm going to do now is whip the lid off. I'll show you what it looks like inside. So okay, I have the 6 screws out, but what I want to do is I want to show you how you open one of these Spectrums. What you don't do is just pull straight up like this. What you do is you get it from the side where the tape deck is and you open it like a clam. Now the reason for that is, see if I can hold it, there is a connection just here that you need to take out. That's for the tape deck. Now what you do again is you just keep pulling it like this, and the reason you do that is because you've got the connections for the keyboard. So what I'll do is I'll get this keyboard ribbon cable out of this. I can already tell straight away someone's been in here because that's not right. So what I'm going to do is get these ribbon cables out and I'll come back. Okay, first I want to get the motherboard out and these 6 screws. This one, this one, this one, this one, and these 2. So I'll get those undone and I'll get this bottom case ready for cleaning. So okay, I've taken the motherboard out, the bottom case has been taken away, that's ready to be cleaned now. So what I need to do now is do the same for the top case, take the keyboard out, take the tape mechanism out, and then I can get the top case cleaned like I'm going to clean the bottom case. So I'll get on with that. Okay, let's get the tape mechanism out. 7 screws, one here, one here, there's one just down this hole here, there's another one to the left of it, there's another one here, and there's a couple here. Now if I remove those, the tape mechanism should just lift out. And before I forget, just got the tape mechanism out. There's one that holds the LED power indicator in as well, so that will need to come out. Okay, so that's the tape mechanism out. What I need to do now is do the same for the keyboard. Okay, to remove the keyboard, there's just 3 screws, and it's here, here, and just there. So I'll undo those and we can take the keyboard out. Okay, I've got the keyboard out now. What I want to do now is remove the metal backplate because I want to take all the keys off and give it a really good clean. with the other parts of the case. And also I want to check the status of the membrane just to make sure that there's no breaks in it and everything's okay. Now the way you do this, I don't know whether you can see this, is there's little clips, and what you do is you push them out like this and you just go along and unclip it, and there's lots of these. So what I'll do is I'll get this all unclipped and I'll show you what that looks like once it's done. Okay, that's the metal back plate off. What I can do now is just carefully remove the keyboard membrane, and as you can see, all the little connections for all the keys. Now what I'm going to do is remove every single one of these, and the way you do that is you just come along and you push them through like that. You see that one just popped out? Now I'm going to do that for every single one of these keys because I want to get these soaking with this plastic bit with the other parts of the case and get it a really good clean. So I'm going to crack on that. I'm going to get all those keys off and I'll show you what it looked like when it's done. Okay, that's one stripped keyboard. As you can see, it was dirty. It needed cleaning. So what I'm going to do now is get this and these parts in the sink, get them cleaned. I'll also clean the upper and lower case as well. Now before I do that, I'll just tell you what you don't need to do. You see these little springs that are in the keys? You don't need to remove those, they're fine. They'll stay in there fine. The only thing you need to make sure is just make sure that there's no water left in them when you put the keyboard back together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this, the keys and the upper and lower case soaking, and we can give those a clean. Okay, as you can see, I've got some of the stuff already soaking. I've got the tape housing, I've got the keyboard connection plate where all the keys connect to, and I've also got the keys soaking as well. And I'll show you the upper and lower case in soak now. And if we take a look, we've got the upper and lower case soaking in my bath, just a shallow soak. If you're wondering what detergent I'm using, it's just simple washing up liquid. You don't want to use anything that's harsh, that can do damage to the plastic, so it's just simple washing up liquid. So what I'll do is I'll let those soak and I'll get on to something else now. So okay, as you can see, I have the +2B motherboard in front of me. Now there's a couple of mods I want to do straight away. Now I've gone out and bought myself an RGB SCART lead, but before I can hook it up to this thing, I need to do a quick mod that brings the output of this socket up to SCART standard. Now if you look at this resistor here, R44, is the wrong value. It's a 1 kilo ohm resistor. It should be a 680 ohm resistor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace that resistor to bring this back into SCART standard. Okay, as you can see, R44 has been removed. It's here, 1K. I also took the opportunity to remove the headphone socket while I had my desoldering station working. Killed two birds with one stone. The reason for that is because I want to do a mod to that after I've replaced the resistor at R44. So what I'm going to do now is get a 680 ohm resistor, and I'm going to pop it in there and solder it in. Okay, the resistor R44 is soldered in, 680 ohms. Now that makes the blanking signal coming out this socket SCART compliant, so that's that taken care of. What I want to do now is take care of the tape. I want a tape input now. On the +2, this is a stereo jack, you can see it, but what they've done is they've commoned two pins together So what they're doing is they're short. Here's your ground, here's your left and right, but as you can see on the board, they've just tied left and right together, and what that does is that just outputs the sound coming from the tape on left and right. Now what I want to do is I want to cut this, and I'm going to add a wire that will come down to the air input on the tape. That will give me the opportunity then to feed in sound to the actual system. So instead of this being a total output, it now is an output on one channel, but it's also an input on the other channel, and that's what I'm going to do next. Okay, as you can see, I've cut the trace, so now I have separate channels. Now one of the channels is still going to be the tape output, but like I mentioned, I'm going to convert the other channel now that's separate into a tape input, and you just wire it to this connector here. So what I'm going to do now, I've done that, I'm going to solder back in this phono socket. Okay, I now have an input. I'll show you what it looks like. As you can see, here's the input here. What I've done is I've used a shielded cable and I've grounded it. You can see it goes all the way down here. Now the reason I've used the shielded cable is because obviously you've got traces and everything like that, and if some of these are fast switching traces, it can cause audio input issues, and that's the last thing I need when you're trying to load from a sound file. So yeah, as you can see, here's the input. It's grounded, comes all the way around, all the way down here. It goes to this point here, and I've also grounded this side as well. So now I have not only a sound output, I have a sound input as well. Okay, I'm going to make a quick start on the cassette deck. Now what I need to do is give this a good clean and service. Now when you're cleaning something like this, don't be using a toothbrush. The reason for that is there are a lot of tiny parts in this thing. Screws, little tiny washers, little lock nuts and springs, and if you knock any of those off, it's bad times. So the way I do it is I take a soft brush and I just get rid of all the loose crap, and then what I'll do is I'll get a cotton bud with a little bit of alcohol on it and just spend 15 minutes just going in and out of all the crevices, giving it a good clean. So that's what I'm going to do to this drive right now. Okay, I'll give the tape mechanism a good clean. To be fair, it's not in bad condition. It didn't take me long to clean it. Also took the opportunity to give it a little bit more grease on the gears. I used some isopropyl alcohol on the tape heads with a cotton bud just to give them a clean. So we might as well go full hog on it and replace the belt. So I have a belt from DataServe. So let me get the old belt off, and but yeah, that looks a bit in worse state. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the new belt on, because obviously I can't do it while I'm holding the camera, and I'll let you see what that looks like. Okay, as you can see, the new belt's on. I can already tell it's a lot tighter than the old one. You can see the old one, how misshapen it is. What I'm going to do now is get this partially hooked up back together to the Spectrum, because what I want to do next is check the azimuth adjustment just to make sure that's aligned. I might as well do it while I'm here and I've got the case open and everything's on the bench. Okay guys, as you can see, I've MacGyvered back together the Spectrum a little bit just so I can get it to tape load. If you look at the image, it looks really nice now because I've got RGB SCART. Now what I want to do is show you how to adjust an azimuth if you don't have a scope. You know, if someone's been messing about the azimuth and it's out, it won't load anymore. I'm going to show you how I used to do it back in the day before I got my scope. Now the first thing I do is I take the azimuth adjustment and I screw it all the way down until it won't go anymore. Now what I do from then is I come along and I will do a quarter turn loosening it. Then what I'll do is I'll load the tape, see if it loads. If it doesn't load, I'll come back and then do another quarter turn, and so on and so on and so on. And eventually what you'll find is you'll get to a point where the tape will partially load, and then all you do then is you start doing little tiny adjustments until you get to the point where your tape fully loads. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that, and we'll see if we can load this tape which wasn't loading before. What do you know? Works every time. Okay, as you can see, what I need to do now is press the button. Now that's got me back into the loader. What I'm going to do is press play and the tape should load. Now all I did was tighten that screw down, and I just kept backing it off until the tape started to load. Then once it started to load, if it fails, just do little tiny increments. So I'm just going to fast forward this because the lead's in a bit long, so yeah, be back when we get tone. Okay, we have tone. Yes. There we go. We're loading. Technique works every single time. And I didn't even have to power on my scope. I love that. So yeah, that azimuth was that, guys. That was probably the reason why it wasn't loading games. That and the belt as well might have contributed to it. So yeah, what I'm going to do now is move on to fixing the keyboard membrane. Okay, I've taken a look at the actual membrane. The actual physical bit of the membrane is perfectly fine, but yeah, someone had fun. If we look at the connection, you can see they've worn down. That's probably the fault there. That's why a lot of the keys aren't working, is because the carbon connection that they use is worn off. If we look at this one, you can see there as well, it's worn off there. Someone's actually cut the ribbon cable. If we look, you can see someone cut it across there. Why they did that, I have no idea. Maybe they damaged it, but what they've done is they put some sellotape over the top of it to stop it going any further. So at least they got that bit right, but why did you cut it in the first place? What is really suspect is if you look at that connection, it's not straight, right? It looks like there's some of it missing. If we look at this one, it's nice and straight. Where if we look at this one, it looks like someone's cut some of it away. Maybe to get to fresh carbon connection so they can put it in and it makes connection again. And that's probably why they cut this here, was to make this longer so it would fit in. So they've cut this away like that so it would fit further in. But it looks like they messed it up. So some idiots had fun there. So I've got to try and repair that. Okay, now the stuff I'm going to use to try and repair this membrane is this stuff, this bare conductive electric paint. This stuff's just glue and carbon mixed together. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can recoat these connections here and make them good again. Because I've used this in things like controllers. You know, when the controller button's not working anymore because it's worn out, you put a little bit of this on the bottom side of it again, and then because it's conductive, it makes the contact work again. So I'm going to try and see if I can repair what this absolute idiot's done. So yeah, I'm going to get on with that and I'll show you how I did it afterwards. Okay, that's the membrane connection sorted. If I show you what it looks like, just there, or repainted. Show you the other connector as well, it's just the same. Got to be careful because I don't want to smudge it. There you go. It's all repainted. Now here's the stuff, look, it's just, you know, it's like a liquid. And all you do is the bits that's missing, you just go along and just do this. And you just touch it up until you get your connector nicely fixed up like this. And then I'm just going to leave it to let this dry, and hopefully that should take care of the keyboard membrane problems. Okay, everything's cleaned, plate's been cleaned, all the keys have been cleaned. Now all I have to do is the fun part of putting it all back together again. Okay, that's the keyboard all put back together. What I can do now is get the rest of the computer put back together and we can give this system a test. Okay, and we're all back together. We look at the Spectrum logo. I took care of the Spectrum logo, just a little bit of paint over the top, fixed the missing silver paint. So let's power the system on. And as you can see, picture looks great with RGB SCART, much better than composite video or RF. No one likes RF. So let me see if the keys work. So yeah, I've got up and down, so up and down still works. Now the big test is, does the enter key work? Yes, enter key works. So let's test some of the other keys. So I'm going to go from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. Perfect, because some of those were missing. Let's try Q, W, E, R, T, Y, U, I, O, P, A, S, D, F, G, H, J, K, L, Z, X, C, V, B, N, M. Yeah, I think the keys are working, guys. I've not tried all of them, but yeah, they seem to be back again. A lot of those were missing last time, so it looks like we've fixed the membrane problem, that connection on the membrane. So okay, let me test the reset button, because I was having a problem with the reset button last time. That's why I had to hard reset it and stop the filming, because the reset button wasn't working when I was trying to get the tape loader to load. So if I press the reset, yeah, so that must have something to do with the keyboard as well. When your keyboard's not working properly, the reset button doesn't work. And as you saw, I just pressed it and it worked fine. So what I'm going to do now is go to the tape loader by pressing enter. Yes, enter key works now. I don't have to press the edit button anymore. And let's see if the game loads. Now again, I'll fast forward it until we get the tone. We've got tone. Yes. It's like we got it. Okay, what I'll do now, guys, is I'll let the tape fully load, and then I'll come back and wrap up the video. Okay, we loaded first time, absolutely fine. Press space, start the game. So yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. Like, comment, subscribe, all the usual stuff. And as always, I'll catch you on the next one. We got a Spectrum.